Beneath the noise of followers and clicks, there is a single number that functions as a silent referee, deciding if your entire funnel lives or dies. It's the number your CEO watches and the number investors use to predict your future.
Just let that sink in for a moment. All your effort, all that creativity, every last dollar of your budget, every single test, every clever headline, every late night, it's all being judged by this one silent, unforgiving number, and it's happening completely behind the scenes. This number couldn't care less about your follower count or your viral video. It's the fundamental pulse of your business, and today, we're gonna find that pulse and really understand its rhythm.
All right, let's get right into it, because this slide shows the great trap of modern marketing. We are absolutely swimming in data. We track page views, we celebrate when our follower count goes up, we optimize for clicks, and hey, presenting those numbers feels good, right? It feels like progress. But this is the illusion. Chasing these vanity metrics can actually blind you to a much deeper, much more dangerous reality. It's like boasting about how shiny your car is while the engine is literally on fire. You can have millions of views and still be speeding directly toward a cliff. So what's the truth? What's the real score? And here it is, the LTV to CAC ratio. That stands for lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. And listen, this is not just another acronym to throw around. Think of it as the ultimate financial stress test for your entire business. It asks one brutally simple question. For every single dollar we spend to get a customer, are we making that dollar back? And then some. Ignoring this ratio isn't just a marketing mistake, it's a fatal flaw in your business model. It's the crack in the foundation that eventually brings the whole house down.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to completely deconstruct this number. We'll start with where it came from, the subscription crisis, then we'll pop the hood on the 3-to-1 engine to see exactly how it works. We'll get into the human code, the psychology that makes it so potent. Then we'll lay out a clear path to mastery, and we'll wrap it all up with a final insight that will totally change how you think about marketing.
So first things first, let's talk about the why. Because to really get a feel for its power, you've got to know its origin story. This ratio wasn't just dreamed up in some boardroom. No, it was forged in the fire of a massive economic shift, a crisis that completely upended the definition of a customer and sent businesses scrambling for a new way to survive.
Think back to the old way of doing business, right? A sale was the end of the story. You sold a car, you sold software on a CD, you got the cash, and that was that. A clean, simple transaction. But then the subscription economy exploded. Think SaaS, streaming services, all of it. And suddenly, everything was flipped on its head. A customer wasn't a one-time transaction anymore. They became a long-term asset, a relationship. The real value wasn't in that first sale. It was in the recurring payments you hoped would come in for months, even years. The finish line just became the starting line.
And this is where the real problem hit. This massive shift created a huge financial blind spot. The old rulebook was totally useless. I mean, think about it. A company could be signing up thousands of new customers. Revenue charts are going through the roof. Everyone's celebrating the incredible growth. But behind the scenes, they could be bleeding cash, spending, say, $500 to get a customer who will only ever pay them $300 back. So how do you tell the difference between a healthy, growing company and a high-revenue failure that's about to implode?
Well, the answer came from the people with the most skin in the game, venture capitalists. These folks were pouring millions into these new subscription businesses, and they needed a reliable way to see if they were making a good bet. They needed a new kind of telescope to look into the future. So they worked with industry leaders to create and codify a new framework, establishing a non-negotiable standard for what a viable business looked like. It was their way of making sure they weren't just pouring money into a leaky bucket. Okay, so we've got the origin story. Now let's pop the hood and see exactly how this thing actually runs. Because at its heart, it's a beautifully simple machine that gives you a very powerful verdict. First up, we've got CAC, or Customer Acquisition Cost. In our little equation, this is the bottom number, the denominator. It's the total, all-in cost to get one new paying customer in the door. And you have to be brutally honest here. This is not just your ad spend. It's the salaries for your marketing and sales teams, the software they use, commissions, overhead. It is everything. Your team's goal is to drive this number down as low as possible. This is your cost.
On the other side of the equation is LTV, or lifetime value. This is the top number, the numerator. And here's a super important point. We're talking about total profit, not just revenue, that you get from one customer over their entire relationship with you. This number is all about how long they stick around if they upgrade their plan or buy more stuff from you.
Your product and success teams want to make this number as huge as they can. This is your return.
And this is where the magic happens. You simply take the lifetime value, your return, and divide it by your customer acquisition cost, your investment. The number you get back isn't just data, it's a verdict. It's a judgment on the health of your entire business model. It answers with cold, hard logic. Is this machine actually working? For every dollar we're putting in, are we getting more than $1 back?
So what's a good verdict? What's the number you're aiming for? The gold standard, the number that VCs and top companies look for, is 3-to-1. Now why 3? Well, think about it. 1-to-1 just means you break even on marketing, which isn't a sustainable business. The other $2, that's what you need to cover all your other costs, your product development, your admin, and to actually make a profit. So for every $1 you spend to get a customer, you need to get $3 back. That is the magic number.
Now let's decode what your ratio is telling you. If your ratio is less than 1-to-1, your hair should be on fire. You are actively losing money on every single customer you bring in. The more you grow, the faster you die. If you're at 3-to-1, awesome. You've hit the gold standard. Your business is healthy and you have permission to pour fuel on the fire and grow. But, and this is the part that trips people up, what if your ratio is 5-to-1 or even higher? That's actually not good. It's a warning sign that you're being too timid. You're leaving money and market share on the table for your competitors to scoop up.
So the math is pretty straightforward, right? But the real secret to why the LTV to CAC ratio is so powerful goes way beyond the spreadsheet. It's about psychology. It's about how we are all hardwired as human beings. It works on numbers, sure, but more importantly, it works on people.
The first piece of the puzzle is a powerful force called loss aversion. Basically, study after study has shown that for us humans, the pain of losing something is about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining that same thing. We are wired to avoid loss at all costs. So a low LTV CAC ratio isn't just a bad number. It's a quantified, immediate loss. Seeing a 0.8-to-1 on a dashboard doesn't just say we should improve. It screams, we just lit a pile of money on fire for that customer. That feeling triggers our deep-seated fear of loss and forces action in a way a vague goal like increase engagement never could.
The flip side is about building value, and it taps into what's called the consistency principle. We have this deep, deep need to feel consistent with our past decisions. We hate admitting we made a mistake. So when a customer signs up, they've made a commitment. A high LTV happens when your product constantly reinforces that they made a brilliant choice. Every good experience, every problem solved tells them, see, I knew this was a good idea. That validation makes them want to stick around, which is the key driver of a huge lifetime value.
Okay, we've covered the why, the how, and the psychology. That's the theory. But how do you actually use this stuff? Let's get practical and talk about what the path to mastering your unit economics really looks like. The framework really boils down to 3 key steps. First, you have to deconstruct the vanity, which means getting real about where your money is going. Second, you have to engineer for retention, which is all about obsessing over keeping the customers you've already earned. And third, you calibrate the investment, using that 3-to-1 ratio as your North Star to guide your spending.
Step 1, and this is absolutely non-negotiable. You cannot use a single blended CAC for your whole company. It's a lie. It hides the truth. You have to break it down channel by channel. Because you might discover that your paid social ads are a money pit, bringing in customers at a huge cost, while your customers from organic search are basically free. A blended average hides both of those facts. Having this clarity gives you the power to make ruthless cuts to what's not working and to double down on your winners.
Step 2 is all about fighting the silent killer of your LTV, churn. That's when customers cancel. And the war against churn is won or lost right at the very beginning of the customer journey. You have to obsess over your onboarding, making sure that a new customer gets to that aha moment, that flash of insight where they truly understand your product's value as fast as humanly possible. It has to happen within the first week, maybe even the first session. That early win sets the stage for them to stick around for the long haul.
All right, we've really taken this number apart. We've seen its history, its mechanics, its psychology, and how to put it into practice. But to really finish this, we have to stop thinking of the LTV-CAC ratio as just a calculation. Because when you truly embrace it, it becomes something much bigger, a core business philosophy that changes everything.
For decades, we've talked about marketing in terms of funnels. It's this idea of us pushing people through a series of steps, almost like objects on an assembly line.
It's a really aggressive, company-first way of looking at the world. But a relentless focus on a healthy LTV-CAC ratio forces you to see that this old model is completely broken. It proves that the most sustainable, profitable marketing does something else entirely.
It doesn't push, it pulls. The best marketing pulls people toward value. A healthy LTV-CAC ratio is the ultimate proof that you've built something so valuable that it earns a customer's loyalty. It forces your entire company, from marketing to product to support, to align around one single goal, creating an experience so good that the customer isn't just profitable, but is truly worth fighting for. And that is the final insight. The LTV-CAC ratio isn't just a number, it's a promise.